You know who Eric Prince is, right? He's the former CIA contractor and hired killer, who is best known as the founder of the private murder outfit known as Blackwater. It's changed its name a couple of times, but that's how it started out. And whose sister, Betsy DeVos, was the Orange Vomit's Secretary of Education. And Mr. Prince, Eric, has drawn a lot of attention over the years because of his gang's record of violence around the world and how they kill people whenever they fucking feel like it. It was the Blackwater organization that slaughtered 17 people in downtown Baghdad a few years back, just opened fire on them because one of Blackwater's vehicles with these scum-sucking murderers in it couldn't get through an intersection because of traffic, so they just opened fire on people. Well, in today's New York Times, Mark Mazzetti and Adam Goldman point out in a very interesting article that Eric Prince helped raise money for a political intelligence operation that was designed to penetrate democratic organizations, liberal organizations, and it was run by a former British spy named Richard Seddon, Seddon. Here's the story. During the summer of 2018, as Seddon, the former British spy, was trying to launch a new venture to use undercover agents to infiltrate progressive groups in this country, including Democratic congressional campaigns and other opponents of Donald Jesus Trump, Seddon turned for help to a longtime friend and former colleague, Eric the Murderer Prince. Prince agreed and took on the role of celebrity pitchman, according to interviews and documents looked at by Mark Mazzetti and Adam Goldman. And he raised money for Seddon, Richard Seddon's spy operation, which was aimed at gathering dirt that could discredit politicians and activists in several states who were not on board with the Orange Vomit. After Prince and Seddon met in August 2018 with Susan Gore, she is a Nazi woman who is the heiress to the Gore-Tex fortune. Gore-Tex, you're familiar with that. She became the project's main benefactor. Susan Gore, an American Christian Nazi. Now, Prince's role in the effort, which up until Mark Mazzetti and Adam Goldman put it in the Times today, has not been previously disclosed. Prince's role in this effort sheds a lot of light on how a group of neo-fascist so-called Republicans employed spycraft to try to manipulate the American political landscape for the Orange Vomit, and are doing a good job of it. And Prince's willingness to support this operation led by the former British spy Richard Seddon is, according to the Times, fresh evidence of his engagement, Prince's, in political espionage projects at home here in the United States during the same period when he was an advisor to Trump administration officials. I mean, this is how serious it is. This is not beanbag, folks. These filthy fuckers have an ongoing attempt to overthrow the government and install Christian fascism. There is no more of a Christian fascist than Betsy DeVos and Eric Prince. I mean, these people are so fucking far out there on the fringe of fascist Christianity. They're almost in their own cult. But they are some of the people behind this. God, sometimes I just feel like I'm shouting into a fucking empty canyon. I really do. And that has nothing to do with the people that listen to this podcast. I realize that you're here and I'm here, and I try to talk about this. But I mean, why isn't every fucking progressive in America who has a microphone talking about this? Maybe they are, and I just don't hear it, huh? So, Richard Seddon, the former British spy, his recruitment of Erik Prince to help Seddon get the money to set up this spy ring in the United States is one of the new details about Seddon's operation that were found in documents obtained by the Times and interviews with people familiar with this fucking plot. And all this information that these two writers, Mark Mazzetti and Adam Goldman, have come up with, provide insight into the ambition of this operation, this fascist operation, to use undercover operatives to target Republicans. Also, not just liberal Democrats or progressive Democrats, but Republicans who are not on the same page, who are seen as insufficiently conservative. And they discovered, as one document describes it, an effort to, quote, research, penetrate, and infiltrate the radical left networks. Now, where have you heard the phrase, in one form or another, about people within the party being seen as insufficiently fill in the blank? To me, it sounds like the Stalin purges back in the 1930s that I've read about. No, I wasn't around then. But when Stalin decided that his Communist Party was drifting a little bit too far away from the madness that he, Stalin, wanted it to reflect. So there were the Russian purges. How many thousands of communist officials, members of the military and the political establishment were executed? Thousands, because they were insufficiently communist. That's what this sounds like. Now, the Times has previously reported, and I did the research and found these articles back in 2016 and 2017. That was in an article that Mark and Adam published 2 years ago. But in that article, they reported that in 2016 and 2017, after the Orange Vomit had assumed the presidency, Prince recruited Richard Seddon to join this group of flat-out Nazis, Project Veritas. You've heard of them. And the purpose was to teach espionage skills to its operatives and manage its undercover operations. So Erik Prince wanted Richard Seddon to take over the operations within Project Veritas, which has nothing to do with the truth, regardless of what the name implies, to teach the operatives in Project Veritas how to infiltrate, spy on, and ultimately destroy and bring about violence of organizations within the United States. And Erik Prince allowed Project Veritas to use the Prince family's Wyoming ranch for training. This reminds me of the training camps in Afghanistan after the trade towers were destroyed in Lower Manhattan. The whole reason we sent 100,000 troops into Afghanistan was to destroy the training camps of terrorists. We have training camps for terrorists and a fucking ranch in Wyoming run by Erik Prince and his fascist goddamn family. Why aren't we destroying them? They are 1,000, 1,000,000 times more of a threat to this country than any fucking group assembled in Afghanistan. These fuckers are in the United States. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcast. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.